Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to go over lesson 3.5, where we're going to be solving with word problems. In this box, there are steps to solve each of the word problems that we're going to go over. The very first step is to define the variable using what we call a let statement. It just tells the reader of your work what each variable represents. The second step is to translate the information in the problem into what we call an algebraic expression. For certain questions, creating a diagram or a picture of the situation might be helpful. Next, we're going to be simplifying the equation for the unknown variable. And lastly, we're going to provide a concluding sentence that answers the question as stated in the problem. So a concluding statement, or sometimes we call it a therefore statement. So we're going to go over a couple different types of questions in this lesson. The way that this video is going to go is that I will do the first of that type of question, then you can pause the video and try the second of that type. Now, the first type of question is the consecutive number question. Consecutive numbers are numbers that come one after each other. So for example, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are consecutive numbers. They come one after each other as we're counting. Consecutive even numbers would be if we're counting, for example, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. They're even numbers that come after each other. And essentially, they're two numbers away from each other because we skip the odd number to get to the next even number. For consecutive odd numbers, an example would be 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Again, just like the even numbers, these numbers are one apart from each other because they skip the even numbers. So you'll see some of this terminology in some of these word problems. This is what I want you to reference. In the first one here in part A, it says the sum of two consecutive numbers is negative 47. What are the two numbers? Now, you might be able to figure this out using mental math or by guess and check, but the goal in this unit is to be able to come up with some equations and use them to solve the question. So let's start by defining some variables. We can say let x represent the first number, and if we're talking about two consecutive numbers, the next one after that would be x plus 1. Let x plus 1 represent the second number. We said consecutive numbers are ones that come one after each other. So x is the first, x plus 1 would be our second. Now here's where we have to break down the language in the question to make an equation. So the sum of two consecutive numbers is negative 47. So if we add the two numbers together, that should equal negative 47. So I'm going to take the first number plus the second number. Its sum should be negative 47. We have an equation here with x and some constants that we can simplify in order to solve. What I can do here on the left side to simplify is to drop the brackets right away, collect my like terms. X plus x is 2x. In order to isolate for x, I can subtract 1 from both sides to get 2x is equal to negative 48. And lastly, I can divide both sides by 2 in order to get x is equal to negative 24. So if x is negative 24 and I said that x represented the first number, well then I can find the second number by plugging in this x value into my let statement x plus 1 to get the second number. So this is one number, x plus 1, where x is negative 24, would tell me that my second number is negative 23. My last step is to make a concluding statement. So I can say, therefore, the two numbers are negative 23 and negative 24. These are the steps that we want you to follow for all of these word problem types. Take a moment to pause the video and try part B before the solution appears. Here is the solution for part B. The main difference here is when creating our let statements, since it said 3 consecutive odd numbers, we have to consider that odd numbers are 2 apart from each other. So we have x is the first number, x plus 2 is the second number, and x plus 4 as the third number. Our next type of question are the cost questions. Let's look at part A. It says that the cost of a pen is 3 times the cost of a pencil. The cost of 4 pencils and 3 pens is $9.75. What is the cost of a pen? So let's define some variables. We can say that x represents the cost of a pencil. Okay. In our question, it says that the cost of a pen is 3 times the cost of a pencil. So we can say that 3x represents the cost of a pen. And this is because it says the cost of a pen is 3 times the cost of a pencil. So we have 3 times the pencil gives us the cost of a pen. Now it says the cost of 4 pencils and 3 pens is $9.75. So here's where we're going to make our equation. The cost of 4 pencils, so 4 pencils times the cost of a pencil plus 3 times the cost of a pen would give us a total of $9.75. So let me just go through that again before I move on. So each of these terms we have 4 is the number of pencils and 3 is the number of pens. And in each case, we've multiplied them by the cost for each of those particular writing utensils. And our total in that case would be $9.75. Let's simplify this equation. 4 times x would be 4x. 3 times 3x would be 9x. And that should all equal $9.75. Let's add those two terms with an x variable to get 13x is equal to $9.75. We can divide both sides by 13 to get x is equal to 0.75. Going back to our let statements, we said x represented the cost of a pencil. So the cost of a pencil is 75 cents. The question asks, what is the cost of a pen? And since a pen was 3x or 3 times the cost of a pencil, we can multiply 3 times the cost of a pencil that we just found to get 2.25. In order to answer this question, we would write a concluding statement. Therefore, the cost of a pen is $2.25. I invite you to pause the video and try part B on your own. And here is the solution for part B. The next type of question are perimeter questions. Here, a diagram is required because it really helps you to visualize and to come up with your equation. Part A says the length of a rectangle is 2 more than 3 times its width. Find the dimensions of the rectangle if the perimeter is 20 kilometers. So I'm just going to draw a diagram here where I have a rectangle. Okay, rectangles we know have 2 sets of equal sides. All right, so we have our width, which we can say is this side here, and it says that our length is 2 more than 3 times its width. 2 more than 3 times its width, which I can represent as 3w plus 2. 2 more than 3 times the width. So here's my diagram. So we can say that let w represent the width, and we can say 3w plus 2 represents the length. Our next step is to create our equation. Here we are given a perimeter of 20 kilometers, and we know that perimeter is the distance all the way around a shape. We can do this in one of two ways. We can simply add all 4 sides together, or because we have 2 sets of equal sides, I can write the equation for perimeter like this. 2 times the width plus 2 times the length would give me a perimeter of 20 kilometers. So I can simplify this equation on the left in this manner. I can add my 2 like terms together, subtract 4 from both sides, and divide both sides by 8. Here I solve for a width of 2 kilometers. Since it asks for the dimensions of the rectangle, we also must find the length. And we said that the length was 3w plus 2. Since w itself was 2, we find that our length is 8. Now be careful in your your concluding statements, that you write the units as well. So we would say, therefore, the rectangle is 2 kilometers by 8 kilometers. The unit was given to us in the question. Now I invite you to pause the video and try part B on your own. And here is the full solution for part B. The last type of question are the age questions, and we usually like to form a table to help us to organize our work. Part A says Jake is 2 years older than Mary. In 10 years, the sum of their ages will be 32. How old is Mary now? How old is Jake now? We can say, let M represent Mary's age now. And I can put that into the chart. It's her age now. It says that Jake is 2 years older than Mary. So we can say M plus 2 would represent Jake's age now. So Jake would be M plus 2. The sum of their ages now, if we add these two values together, would be 2M plus 2. In 10 years, each of their ages, we'd have to add 10 years to it. So we would have M plus 10. And for Jake, it would be M plus 2 plus 10, which is really M plus 12. If I wanted to sum up their ages in 10 years, we would have to add up M plus 10 plus M plus 12. Here we would have 2M plus 22. Now, since in the question it says that the sum of their ages will be 32 in 10 years, we can take their sum, 2M plus 22, and set that equal to 32, which should be their sum. Now, let's simplify and solve this equation. Here we would find that Mary's age now is 5. Let's now plug that into M plus 2 to find Jake's age. We would find that Jake is 7. So we would write a therefore statement. Mary is currently 5 years old and Jake is 7 years old. I ask that you now pause the video and try part B on your own. And here is the solution for part B. The main difference here, 5 years ago, means that we're subtracting 5 from all of their current ages. Make sure that your answers match the ones that we have here and double check all of your answers.